Hi, welcome to the Solar Buying Guide provided to you by Build San Antonio Green. My name is Kaylin Randolph, and I am the program admin for the Bring Solar Home program here at Build San Antonio Green. And the intention here today in this webinar is to provide you with some information on going solar in San Antonio. We'll talk about our Bring Solar Home program that we have, as well as go over some commonly asked questions when going solar, how to determine if solar is right for you in your home, prepare you with some information and questions to ask installers so you can choose the right installer for yourself and your situation, and then also go over some local and federal rebates and incentives there that are available to you to pursue. So before we dive right into Bring Solar Home, I'll give you guys just a little bit of background of who we are at Build San Antonio Green. So Build San Antonio Green is a local 501c3 that was founded by Bill Sinkin in 2001. We work with builders and developers to certify green homes in San Antonio. Our goal is to create awareness and interest among builders and homeowners alike in resource-efficient building methods, materials, and technologies. We also do a lot of education with homeowners and buyers so they can make informed decisions in relation to reducing energy and water consumption, and work with our partners to create programs for air quality improvement, water conservation, energy efficiency, and renewable energy. So I'm going to talk to you today about one of those programs, which is Bring Solar Home. Our mission here at Build San Antonio Green is to protect and enhance the quality of life of the citizens of San Antonio through our work. And some of those categories of our work here are community engagement, solar, and green building. Since the beginning of our green building program, we have worked to certify over 32.4 million square feet of green building. That's saving our city 23.2 megawatts of peak demand reduction, which is equivalent to removing nearly 32,000 cars off the San Antonio highways every year. I would encourage you guys to go check out our website, buildsagreen.org, if you're interested to learn more about the Green Building Program or some of the other work that we do here at BSAG. And with that getting wrapped up, I'll go ahead and move straight into Bring Solar Home. So this is the landing page to our Bring Solar Home website. This is the first page that you will navigate to when you go to bringsolarhome.com. Bring Solar Home is a free, unbiased technical consumer decision tool for solar options here in San Antonio. And you're going to see these three choices here at the bottom: learn, decide, apply. In this learn category, we're going to have tons of information depending on where you are kind of in your journey. You might be at that very beginning of just generally wanting to learn how solar works, or you maybe have already done some of that preliminary information finding, and now you're kind of needing some help and some guidance on choosing the right installer. So we've got all of that housed in that learning area of the website. In our decide portion, we have a calculator tool, which I'll explain and give you an example of later on in the webinar. And basically what it's going to do is take your annual energy consumption and calculate what size system you would need to offset those costs, and then give a rough estimate of what that system would cost you based off of San Antonio solar averages for the previous 2 years. And finally, there on the apply section, we have two options where you can reach out to us. One of them is if you just have very general questions about solar. It's a very open-ended, it's just a comment box, so feel free to reach out to us there with some questions that you may have. And then we also have another option, which is that we can provide you with a technical desktop review. And so what we would be doing is similar to that image down there in that circle. We would be looking at an aerial image of your home and seeing how much solar potential your home has, right? How many panels can you fit? And then also leave you with some comments. We may point to some obstructions, some potential shading issues, just things that you need to kind of consider and take a look at before you go and pursue maybe some hard costs from an installer. And so that desktop review, coupled with our calculator, can give you a better picture as you're kind of moving forward through that process of, okay, what size system can I have in theory, and what do I need to meet my energy costs? Some of the top 5 questions that people ask, right? I mentioned that we have that comment box there that you can reach out to us and ask anything that may be on your mind or that you need help with. These are just the top 5 questions that I get asked as the program admin. How many panels can I fit? How much will it cost? Are there any rebates? How long does the process take? And how much money will I save? And that desktop review and that calculator kind of aims to achieve at answering some of those questions, or giving a better idea or a better grasp, a ballpark of what you're looking at. And we will go over that further along in the webinar, and as well as answer some of these other questions here. So these are the top 5 questions that I get asked from people. However, I have a couple of questions that I ask to people when they're considering going solar, because then it helps give them a better idea of maybe some items they need to execute before going solar, or some things that are going to kind of guide their solar journey. So some of those questions to ask yourself are the main top one up here at the very outset. Is my home suitable for solar? So is my home energy efficient? What is the age and condition of my roof? What is the orientation of my roof? Do I have trees, shading, other obstructions on my roof surface that I don't know about? As well as what is your roof made out? What are the roof materials on top? I will have a graphic here after this slide that will kind of give you a better understanding of what some of those questions are. As well as what are my goals in going solar? What is my current energy usage in my home as it is? And how much do I want to offset my energy bill? So here's that graphic I mentioned. It's, pointing, the first item on that list there is your roof. You want to have a roof that's 10 years old or less, unless it's a metal roof, which has a much longer lifespan. And that's because you're installing a piece of heavy equipment on your roof, right? And you want it to be in good condition, and those panels to be up there for a long time. Because, if you do need a roof replacement or something like that, it's definitely possible, but it does cost money to have them taken off of your roof, have a new roof put on, and it just kind of becomes a logistical hurdle there. Second, the materials. Asphalt shingle and setting seam metal roofs are ideal choices, but not necessary. Especially in San Antonio, we see a lot of Spanish clay tile roofs, and they're perfectly fine to install on them. It's just something to consider when you're looking for an installer, right? You may want to ask that installer, do they have a lot of experience with clay tile roofs and things like that. Number 3, orientation and shading. So south, southeast, or southwest facing roof is ideal for solar because of it's going to get the most sun, right? And you really want that portion of your roof to be shade-free, obstruction-free, so that you can put the bulk of the array in that area so that it can produce the most power. At the very beginning of the list here, this is something I always like to go over, because if you are watching this webinar, it's very likely that you've already been approached, or maybe you've received bids, or you kind of have a general idea about the solar process, or you've received a phone call or a mailer at your home. So, and I get this question as well, how do I know if they're a legitimate company? What you want to do is just make sure that the installer or company that you're talking to is registered with CPS Energy on the registered contractor list. This list is updated every couple of months. You can find that list online, or you can reach out to us for it. They do install it, they update it every couple of months. So just because you don't see your installer on there doesn't necessarily mean they are not a CPS registered contractor. It just might mean that they haven't been updated on the list yet. So you can also call that CPS Energy line there and ask them and see if they're a contractor that's registered with them, but maybe not on the list, the updated list. Energy efficiency first. So before you consider or think about getting a solar system put on your roof, the logical first step there is to make your home as energy efficient as possible. The more energy your household uses, the larger solar system you will need to offset your energy cost. A larger solar system basically means a more expensive solar system. So making energy efficiency updates to your home first can really reduce the size of a solar system you'll need to offset your energy cost. CPS Energy has great home efficiency programs, home energy efficiency programs, and you can find that on their CPS Energy Save Now website. You can also reach out to us for resources and tips directly. This is a graphic from our Bring Solar Home website that has some kind of pretty easy existing home energy efficiency measures that you can find there. The next item is, how are solar systems sized? So there's one of two ways that this is done. For new homes, systems are sized using the projected energy usage of the home based on the square foot and available resource. So if it's a new construction home, in theory, you haven't been in there consuming much energy, so you won't have a utility bill to get a snapshot of your annual energy usage available. So in that case, an installer, whoever's giving you a quote, will look at the square footage of the home, the size, how many people are going to be in there, some average usages to come up with an average annual energy consumption to model kind of what size system you might need. For existing homes, that's a little bit easier because the system size is going to be determined by your energy usage, your utility bill. That's where you're going to be able to find that annual energy usage, your available roof space, and what your specific energy goals are. So they will look at your energy usage, the available roof space that you have to size the system adequately, and then also in considering in that would be your energy goals. Do you want to completely offset your cost? Is it only possible because of your roof size or shape that you can get to maybe 75% of your offset goals? But that's something to consider. The average size of a system is about a 5 kW size system. Just because that's an average size does not mean that that's going to produce enough energy to cover 100% of your energy costs. That's going to be determined by your energy consumption. So you may have a much larger home. You may have more people in your home, more children. You may have your parents living with you. Things like that are going to potentially increase your energy consumption. But this is just a good starting place as an example to give those average costs. So the average cost of a 5 kW system at $3.80 a watt, which was the average price per watt in San Antonio in 2020, would be $19,000. And that's before rebates and before tax credits, which we'll get to later in the webinar. This here is a screenshot of that calculator tool that I mentioned earlier in the webinar that we have in the decide portion of the website. So this calculator will use your annual energy consumption, and you can find that on your CPS Energy bill. That little bar graph that you have, it has a month-to-month consumption on there, and if you add up 12 months, you would get your annual average energy consumption. So once you have that, you would plug that into number one there, which is your annual energy use. Right now I have 11,000 in there. That's an average. Once that is determined, it will calculate the size that you'll need to offset your energy cost. On number two there, that's about a 7.3 kW system. And then it will give you the gross cost of that. And then adjoined by that at the end, what the net cost is. And that means after the federal tax credit. So it gives a good, again, a general snapshot of kind of the size that you need and then what the associated cost with that is. Just to, again, be more informed and kind of see what you're dealing with, because it's all kind of just an average. But it is a good starting place just to know where you stand, and so that you can now start to maybe pursue hard costs and see how you want to go about either financing or purchasing the system. So let's say you've made it this far, you have understood what your annual energy consumption is, what kind of size system you need, and now you're either going to go get a site visit performed by a solar installer, or you already have done that and you're comparing quotes. So all of this information is also located on our website, but we're going to go through some of the items today that can inform or make it easier to compare and contrast those bids that you may have. These are just some key indicators to look at to kind of make a more apt comparison. The first one on there is price per watt. So there are two calculations here on this page, and this is how you can basically compare the cost of the bids that you've received, even if the sizes are a little bit different. So the first item that you want to do is figure out what the price per watt of your system is. In order to do that, you're going to first calculate the size of your system. And in order to do that, you'll multiply the wattage of your solar panel by the number of solar panels that will be installed. For example, let's say it's a 325 watt solar panel, and they're proposing you install 16 panels, that's going to come out to 5,200 watts. Solar systems are typically referred to in kilowatts. So 5,200 watt system is going to be a 5.2 kilowatt system. Once you have the system size packed down, you're going to then calculate the price per watt by dividing the total system cost by the total system size. Let's say that you were quoted $20,000 for that system size. You would then divide that by 5,200 watts, which would give you $3.85 per watt. And you could do this for each bid that you receive to get what is that price per watt amount. It just makes it's a easier way of looking at price comparison. Now, price is maybe not the only indicator you're going to be looking at when you're comparing bids from installers. So this is why this is just one of the pieces of that, but it is an equalizer in the sense that now you can kind of view things in a more even way. Number 2 on that list is going to be equipment. So solar panels. There are many options when it comes to solar equipment. It's important to remember that locally made solar panels here in San Antonio, which is going to be the Mission solar modules, qualify for an additional $500 rebate. The commonly used solar panel manufacturers that we see a lot are SunPower, LG, Mission. There's quite a few of them, but you do want to make sure they're tier 1 modules. The wattage of those modules can differ, but ranges anywhere from 265 to 400 or more watts. The time to kind of consider that is that just remember that the panel wattage is what's used to calculate the size of your system. Second large piece of equipment in a solar system is going to be inverters. There are different kinds of inverters. So you've got microinverters versus string inverters, as well as power optimizers. Basically what inverters do is they convert the sun's rays into power that your home can use. At a high level here, microinverters are small inverters that are installed under every panel. It can be a little bit more costly. It's just more equipment on your roof. However, it's really good for shading if you are installing in an area that is somewhat shaded. If one or more of your panels are shaded, the rest of the system will keep producing. Now, if you are using a string inverter, it's just one central inverter. That means only one inverter is needed, and electricity output is dependent on the panel that is potentially performing the worst. So it basically has decreased the efficiency of the system. This is easier to replace and upkeep and manage because it's just one piece of equipment as opposed to one inverter for each panel. So it is economical, but again, these different equipments have their pros and cons, and it really is contingent on what your specific situation is at your home, at the site where the system will be installed. Optimizers are a piece of equipment that are paired with a string inverter and function similar to microinverters. It will help increase the efficiency of your panels. It could be more economical than microinverters. The one item to consider is if you're using a central inverter, is that if you ever add onto your system or increase the system size, that inverter will need to be upgraded. It will need to be a larger inverter to accompany a larger system size. So again, just items to consider, things to talk about with your solar installer, because it's going to really be site specific to what you have going on at your home and on your roof. Warranty and maintenance. So these solar panels and inverters will all have spec sheets. They will, there's some industry standards there. For instance, the industry standard is 25-year performance warranty for tier 1 manufacturers. When that 25-year warranty expires, it doesn't mean that the panels stop working. It means that they may be less efficient. So that warranty is ensuring that they have a certain percentage of efficiency up into 25 years. Inverters generally have a shorter warranty, about 10 years. But again, it's important to ask your installer about the warranties, not only that they offer for the equipment that they're installing, but their workmanship warranties that they have that are specific to their company. So again, as I mentioned at the beginning, cost is a big indicator and a decision that you're going to make. However, you also want to be looking at the bigger picture, and if there's specific materials you want. Sometimes some materials cost more, but maybe they come with a longer warranty. So again, just something to consider in that whole entire piece. And last, financing options. So there are multiple ways to pay for a system. You can pay for that outright. Most solar installers offer in-house financing, or you can finance separately through an institution of your choice. But depending on how you plan to pay for the solar system, it's important to look at those options available to you. Again, most solar companies offer in-house financing now. You just want to compare and contrast those rates. Ask them, what are their rates, their fees, what are your monthly payments going to look like, just so you can make a better decision about if that's something that's approachable for you in your situation. Last here, we're going to get to the incentives and rebates that are available. So this is a local rebate that's provided by CPS Energy. It's a residential rooftop rebate. It's a flat rebate of $2,500 per project, with a $500 premium for projects that use local modules. Earlier, I had mentioned that if you use the local manufactured models, which is Mission solar panels, that would be approved for an additional $500 rebate. So potentially here, you could get a $3,000 flat rebate off the system cost. To qualify for the CPS Energy Rebate, you need to make sure that your installer is indeed registered with CPS Energy. Again, they have that registered contractor list that's available, or you can always call to make sure that they are registered and on that list. Any price higher than $4 per watt will not qualify for the CPS Energy Rebate. And the average price for solar in San Antonio was $3.80 a watt. There's a typo right there. There are two options when it comes to receiving the rebate. So option number one is that you pay for the cost of the system up front and you receive the rebate after the installation and once the system is turned on. So basically, after you go through the process of installation, inspection, the system is commissioned and turned on. CPS Energy would then get notification that the system was turned on, and then they would cut you a check for the $3,000 rebate. Or what we typically see a lot of happening, because it kind of streamlines things, is that you assign the rebate to the contractor, and that cost is removed from the initial contract price. Second here. That is removed from the initial contract price, and then the contractor is going to receive that rebate at the end once the system is turned on. So effectively, you've already received that credit, but now the installer is kind of waiting to receive that from CPS Energy. The federal tax credit. So this is not a local incentive, this is a federal incentive in the form of a tax credit. The Federal Residential Solar Tax Credit is ITC, is a tax credit that can be claimed on federal income taxes for a percentage of the cost of the PV system the year that it's installed. So that current rate is at 30% for systems installed, and it's available until 2030. After that time, the incentive will just decrease to 26%. This credit rolls over as long as the ITC is in effect. So if you don't have enough tax liability in that first year, that credit rolls over. You must own that system to be eligible for the benefit. Some additional important things to remember when going solar. This is something we push and we always recommend, is to get at least 3 solar quotes before deciding on an installation contractor. That just gives you an opportunity to be more competitive in the price and ask important questions and make sure you're getting the materials you want, the price you want, and everything is going to basically fit with what you were envisioning for your solar installation to be. When calculating energy savings, the energy rate should be around 9 to 11 cents per kilowatt hour. You should treat your decision to purchase a solar system as you would any other large purchase, right? It's a large purchase for your home, right, that you're getting done there. And choose a contractor in the same way you would choose a contractor who's going to come and do significant work inside of the house. Look up their reviews online. Make sure they have a large online presence. Are they local? Remember also that you have the right to cancel your purchase within 72 hours. And be sure to add to your homeowner's insurance your solar system for the full replacement cost. That's going to wrap up this webinar. Again, just kind of a general top-level solar buyer's guide on questions that we get pretty often, things to consider when you're in the stages of thinking about going solar. Feel free to contact us with any questions that you have about solar or energy efficiency. My contact information is there. You can also reach out to us through our 2 websites. And again, if you want a desktop review, maybe a more technical review of what solar capacity you have at your home, or you have general questions about how that process works, that's what we're here to do, is just to help make that process easier for people in San Antonio, answer any questions you have, and point you and get you going in the right direction so that you can kind of move forward. It's been a pleasure giving this webinar, and I hope to hear from you guys soon.